I became aware, just in my prayer time, these things started to come up about what was happening in the nation, primarily what I'd been reading about what was happening in the education system, the curriculum that was being introduced to grade school children and even preschool children, things that little children shouldn't even have to deal with until they're coming into their teen years. And it suddenly struck me that they're after the children. And by that, I mean those whose agenda is to teach a sexuality that is very contrary to what we have as a biblical or a moral worldview. And when it struck me that they were after the children, and I thought, I have to do something, but I'm a pastor. I'm not a politician. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an educator. And I thought, well, what can I do? I can let our people know about this. And so I started to try and do a little bit more research, and I would check online for, this organization, Canada Family Action was one that I'd find out, okay, this is happening. ARPA was another one, Parents for Choice in Education here in Alberta. And what actually happened was I was starting to sort of get overwhelmed with all this information because I'm a pastor. I've already got all the stuff that I have to do. And I was sitting there one morning and I said, God, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to do all this. I can't keep up with this. And I felt like the impression that came to me was, there's a remnant of people in your church who have a heart to do this kind of thing. You need to find them. And, we pastored for over 30 years. And so I knew that for anything that was on God's heart, there's a group of people in each local church. I learned that many years ago, that God will speak to their heart about it, whether it's home missions or missions away or a building project or working with orphans, whatever. And so I just said, okay, I trust that there's people here that will have this on their heart. Because I was, I just had too much to do. I couldn't keep up, as I said. So I got up that Sunday morning, just a few days later, and I said, we're going to have a meeting next Sunday night for those of you who have an interest or a heart for social justice issues, for what's happening in the nation. And I mentioned some of what was happening in the schools, and people kind of knew that because I've been sharing a little bit of that on and off over the prior weeks. And so then I got up again the next Sunday and said, tonight we're having a meeting. And it was totally, I had no idea how many people were going to show up. So we met in a small sanctuary that night, and I just had, 20 or 30 chairs set up, and 20 people came. I didn't have a plan, and really what I was doing was reaching out, trusting that God was leading me. And I said to the people that night, which really, as a public speaker, I felt kind of foolish. I said, you guys, I don't have an agenda. I realize that I need three things. If I'm going to get up on a Sunday morning and share for 2 or 3 minutes on here's what's happening and here's how we respond, I need people who can find information for me that's pertinent to us right now. My experience has been, and myself included, that Christians are largely uninformed on the issues. We're getting better, but we're largely uninformed. So I said, I need people who can find information that's pertinent to what's happening. I said, I need people who can vet that information and determine, okay, is this hearsay or is this something that's actually happening? And here's the research, here's the data. And then I said, I need somebody who can create an action plan or a response so that when I get up on Sunday, I can go, here's the information, here's where we found out, and here's what needs to happen. And you guys, here's how we need to respond. And so the people sort of said, okay. And I said, I don't know what to call this, a political group, a political action group. I said, but let's sit down and talk about it. 2 or 3 people from that group sort of came and said, I would be more interested. I will help you find the information. Eventually, after I think about within the next month, we had about 5 people that came, and we sat down as a group, and I said, well, you guys know the need here. I said, as a pastor, I just need somebody to help me with this information. So we're beginning to see this vision that God had about, that he gave to my heart, was how Christians engage and how Christians can be a voice and see something change in your city, in your province, in your nation. And the nice thing about it is, I'm not running this. I'm not making it happen. I'm not having to do all the work. They give me what I need. I inform the church, and then they take care of the rest. So I really want to emphasize that for pastors who are like, gosh, I'm not a politician, I'm a pastor, I'm here to help people's marriages and help them, that they don't have to do all the work. But I will say this, as pastors, we have the responsibility to help our people be salt. And somebody said to me, well, how, we shouldn't get involved in politics. Politics is a dirty thing, we should just pray. And I remember thinking this, Jesus said we're salt. Salt doesn't have an impact until it makes contact. And as Christians, we have to start making contact with our world, with our constituencies, with the nation. And I'm not a politician. I'm a pastor, so I don't try and be a politician because it's not my lane. But there are people in my church who have a real heart for that, and they have a heart for social justice and for one of the things that you've mentioned. And so they're training themselves and becoming, I don't know if you'd call us experts, but at least we're informed and engaged. So it's definitely easier for me because I'm not trying to change who I am. What God was able to do was to create something that empowered our people without me having to change and become something else.